you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Sure.
I started talking to friends and girlfriends of mine about life experiences and intimacy and relationships. It brought me here to talking to you, and I thought we could sort of delve into these topics. But I thought maybe first you could explain who you are and what you're up to.
Sure. I am a licensed psychotherapist for the past 20 years, and I am a love and relationship expert.
And as far as relationship goes, like, how did you get involved? Like, is that your main focus, is in relationships, or like women in themselves, or?
Well, it's really about women because I'm really passionate about empowering women. And so I became a relationship expert, a love expert, partly because of my own experience. So I've created 2 signature courses that women all over the world can take because they're virtual. So one is the Real Love Revolution, and the other is called Boundary Boot Camp, because these are both areas that women struggle with. And my demographic are women who really have it together, like smart and successful, but for some reason that love situation, they just can't figure it out. They're the overfunctioners, the overgivers, the overdoers, the perfectionists,
Right.
good daughters, good friends,
Right.
but it's almost like their own needs or desires end up last on the list.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know from my own experiences, I mean, I'm the firstborn. I was, a straight A student. I was like the lead soccer player, and I went to NYU, and I mean, that was like this path. And then suddenly I felt like, who am I? Like, what are my needs? What do I want out of the world? And it almost set me off on like a bad trajectory for a while, because it was like I went from one to the other where I had to come back. And that's where I really got involved in therapy for myself, because I had to figure out, well, I need to figure out how to set boundaries in a healthy way, because it's just so interesting that you say that.
And figuring out who you are, part of it is that when we're being dutiful, when we have what I call the disease to please, right?
Yeah.
We're not spending time being like, oh, hey, what do I want? How do I feel? Who am I? We're like, are you okay? Are you okay? Is everyone else okay?
Yeah.
And as long as everyone else is okay, then I'm okay. But that only lasts for so long, because your authentic self, right, your true nature is not fed or taken care of by just obsessively giving and taking care of other people. We know this, it doesn't work, because you can do it for only so long, and then you hit a wall. So you said you hit a wall that kind of was bringing you in a different direction that might not have been a great direction.
Right.
And I find many of the women who come to see me, something will happen where they get physically unwell.
Right.
So a lot of autoimmune disorders and
so
insomnia, and their body is like,
Shutting
down. Time out.
That's the big warning, I think.
Yeah.
When you're physically ill. I know, like, my mother, for example, was in the middle of a divorce with my father, and her body completely shut down and was hospitalized just because there was so much she was giving that she wasn't giving herself,
Oh yeah, we're so into pleasing others. I want to make sure you're happy and you're happy. In the end, though, if you are saying yes when you really want to say no, just to make someone else happy, let's say, what ends up happening? What are you really doing? You're being dishonest. We value niceness, and I'm going to do that, because saying yes when you want to say no, it sure as hell is not nice, but we think it is because we don't want anyone to be mad at us,
Right.
or to be upset. What happens, though, ultimately, is you end up not knowing who you are, and that you end up being a martyr too, right? When you overgive, and everyone knows someone who's like, I do everything for everyone, and you're like, yeah, who asked you?
Right, exactly.
How about take care of yourself? That'd be great for everyone.
Exactly.
Because you have nothing to give. If you never are filling up your own well, if you don't negotiate for your own needs, if you don't prioritize your own preferences, you have a preference. Why deny it? And it's such a good exercise to get clear. Ask yourself, what is okay with me? What is not okay with me? What do I like? What do I not like?
I actually have a difficult time with this. I want my friends to feel good, or I want my partner to feel good, or whatever, and I'm like, oh, I'll worry about myself later. But like, why is it so difficult?
Let's look at the way that we're socialized as women. So let's start there. Who are we? Who are we? We are the bridgers. We are the assuagers. We're the person who comes into a room, and we take the temperature of every person in that room to make sure that everyone has what they need. So it's very difficult to change that training, even though we don't need to be all of that self-sacrificing. But if you look at what society values the earth mama, the ever-giving, the completely selfless, will give the shirt off your back, don't we?
Yeah.
This whole thing about martyrdom, about this over-giving and this over-delivering sort of, is that there's only one place that it can lead you to, which is bitter land. That's it. Because sooner or later you run out of. And in the end, the most important reason not to do this is because how can anyone authentically love you if you never let them authentically know you? And it's the same thing when you overgive and you're also not a good receiver.
And that's the big thing too, is receiving, which I think is also an important topic. In this day and age, like women, we're at this great movement where we're empowered, and I think it's hard to allow someone to buy us dinner. And so I've realized that I've had to go, of course, you can open that door for me. I'll take that compliment. I won't go, why are you looking at me like that? It's, oh, thank you. You think I look pretty, or you want to buy me dinner, or whatever that is.
Yes.
It's hard.
I learned this great way of receiving. When I first met my husband, I was single. I was not planning on getting married. I was like, I'm just going to have an amazing career because my parents got divorced and nobody's ever happy. Why do I want that? That looks meh.
I felt like that too.
So when I first met my husband, I was in maybe my early 30s, and I was saying to my mother, he always wants to come drive and come pick me up and go out of his way, and it doesn't make any sense because I could just jump on the train and be in Jersey in 20 minutes. And after a few times, my mother finally said, Ter, you need to stop not letting him do things for you. She's like, listen, if you need to do everything yourself, you will end up like me, and you will be doing it all alone. Allow him to do those things for you because he wants to, not because he thinks you're incapable.
The reality is, it's just a nice gesture. Someone bringing you flowers or something.
Yes, in my life, I like to be the warrior that I am, and I love that my husband will still treat me once in a while like a dainty flower.
It also leads into guilt, which is another hot topic that I have, because I know that I'm guilty of feeling a lot of guilt.
Guilt, regret, and jealousy are wasted emotions. But what is guilt? Now listen, as human beings, this is part of our spectrum of experience, right? We feel guilty. If something happens and you do something wrong, guilt is a normal response if you have a conscience. So you go, oh, so guilt says, I think I did something wrong. Maybe I'll make amends, maybe I'll say I'm sorry, I won't do that again. But now the difference between guilt and shame is that shame says, I think I am something wrong. Excessive guilt and shame are both very low vibration emotions, and so they really get in the way of what people want to create in their lives. So it's very, very valuable to talk about it and to figure out how can we just stop and really question what is happening. I'm going to give you 3 questions that you can ask yourself at any point to try to identify why you're feeling the way that you are, because a lot of times it's because of an earlier situation that is unresolved.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So who does this person remind me of? That's the first question. Where have I felt like this before? And why is this behavioral dynamic, the way we're interacting, why is it familiar to me? So this transference means that we're having a response right now in life to unresolved, painful stuff from the past. Like all of us have these little kids at different ages of development where we've had injuries. If we don't figure out and sort of excavate the original experiences, what happens is that we keep reliving that. So we go through life sort of living in the past rather than creating the now that we want. But a lot of times that requires going back.
I guess it's a wasted emotion, like you said.
It's wasted if it's over everything, if there's no discernment in what it is that's creating guilt. I'm grateful when I do something bad. Of course, we're all human. Sometimes we act crappy. So if I do that, or if I'm mean to my husband,
it's a good gauge.
Yes, it's like you have a conscience.
Yeah.
And then I can do a corrective behavior. I can say I'm sorry. I can not do it again. I can send someone flowers. I can, You
But
know?
to become overwhelmed by guilt is a whole other.
Yes.
Okay.
And to have the extreme guilt that a lot of shame creates, because shame and guilt feel a lot alike. They just are low, they're heavy.
You mentioned the vibration and the emotional vibration. Are you into chakras and meditating and stuff like that as well?
Yes, your vibration, everyone's vibration who's watching this. It's like how you feel and how you feel about yourself. It's like energy that comes out and it's got little hooks on it, and it hooks like experiences into. So people who are super negative have a tendency to draw in similar things. So I always say, you have to figure out like the bar for yourself, because how you feel about yourself, that is what sets the bar for every relationship in your life. So no one can save you from your low self-esteem. You get it? You have to go through the process of figuring out self-love, self-care, right? Drawing boundaries, speaking authentically, taking care of your body, all of these things, because no one else can do that for you. And overworking and overgiving will never fill the hole that only authentic self-love can fill.
It's a lot to remember.
This is why I created courses.
Yeah.
Because people are like, wait, but now I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Now I need the exercise. What am I journaling? What am I writing?
How can I join?
You can go to terricole.com/real love. It's an 11-week course, and it's built on the 5 pillars of what I've deemed, in my experience, are real love. So that's basically based on 20 years of being in the trenches with women like you. So the pillars start with self-awareness, because how can you change anything that you are unaware of or that you're in denial of? You can't. Then we move into self-knowledge, where we actually unpack all your past relationships. It's all about how you come to your self-esteem and what has impacted it. So then we move on to the 3rd pillar, which is self-acceptance, which really includes getting rid of that shame, getting rid of that guilt, because whatever happened in your life is all right. You are all right. There is nothing wrong with you or any of you who are watching. Nothing is wrong with you.
Right.
Then we move into the 4th pillar, which is self-compassion. You have to regard yourself the way that you want others to regard you. And then the last one is self-love. And self-love, to me, I didn't want to end it there, so I created this bonus module, because I was like, self-love is cool, and I have all kinds of things that we do, and each week you also get a therapeutic meditation, so that we're hitting the conscious and the unconscious mind throughout the process to make all of this integration a little bit easier. So I created a self-celebration module. It's like I'm awesome the way that I am. So that's that course, and that's really, this is my life's work, is figuring out how to take these amazing women who do everything for everyone and help them reach this place in life where they're really, truly happy.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Sure.